Welcome back to Global Insights. I'm your host name. Today we're diving into a frustration I think every single listener has felt, the infamous sticker shock. You see a new phone or a new graphics card advertised in dollars, say $1,000, but when it lands on the shelves in your city, that price has somehow ballooned into an unstable and frankly astronomical amount in your local currency. It feels like an invisible tax.
Exactly, hostname. It is frustrating, and people feel like they're being unfairly targeted. But what they're missing is the massive silent force dictating that final number.
And that silent force is the US dollar. Today we have a fantastic guide to help us decode this. Joining us is Hostname, a financial coach and expert in global supply chain economics. Welcome, Hostname.
Great to be here. I love talking about this topic because once you understand the mechanism, you stop being a victim of the price tag and become a strategic buyer.
Love that. Let's make our listeners strategic buyers. So, Hostname, for decades we've heard about the dollar being the world's reserve currency. Why is this so crucial in the world of silicon chips and lithium batteries? Why can't a Korean manufacturer just sell components to a Brazilian company in Brazilian reais?
That's the core issue. Think of global commerce as a massive, noisy marketplace with thousands of negotiators speaking different languages. To communicate value, to agree on a price, they need a single common language, a lingua franca. The US dollar is that undisputed arbiter.
The universal language of international trade, right?
Precisely. It's not just the currency of the US, it's the benchmark for about 90% of all foreign trade transactions. We used to talk about the Petrodollar, where oil was priced exclusively in dollars. Well, now we essentially have a Techno-Dollar.
The Techno-Dollar. I like that term. What does it cover specifically in the tech world?
Nearly every critical raw material and license is quoted and invoiced in US dollars. We're talking about lithium for batteries, gold and copper for circuitry, even rare earth minerals sourced from Asia. Even if a core component is fabricated in Taiwan, its cost is calculated based on the exchange rate relative to the dollar.
So, essentially, every new gadget, whether it's an iPhone, a graphics card, or a smart TV, is a dollarized product at its component level, no matter where you live.
Exactly. I use this analogy. Think of the dollar as the thermostat of a global building. If the thermostat, the dollar's strength, raises or lowers its temperature, it affects everyone in every room in every country. You can't escape that global temperature setting.
That makes it clear. Let's follow that dollarized component through the supply chain. A microchip is made in Asia, invoiced in dollars. A screen is assembled in China, negotiated in dollars. Shipping is charged in dollars. What happens when it hits, say, Mexico or Poland?
That's where the currency exchange rate hits you like a domino effect. The exchange rate is simply the price of one currency expressed in another. When the news says the dollar is strengthening, what they're really saying is that your local currency is weakening against that global arbiter.
Give us a quick, tangible example of that domino effect.
Sure, let's say an importer needs to buy that $100 chip. A month ago, the exchange rate was 10 units of local currency per dollar, cost 1,000 local units. Today, the dollar has strengthened to 12 local units per dollar. Result? The exact same $100 chip now costs the importer 1,200 local units.
Wow, that's a 20% increase in the importer's cost, and the base dollar price hasn't even moved.
Nope, it hasn't moved. And this leads to what we call the local dealer's dilemma and price rigidity.
The rigidity of the dollar price.
Right. Giants like Apple or Intel rarely lower their base USD prices. So when the local currency devalues, the distributor has to pay more local currency to replenish their stock. But they don't just cover the cost, they add a safety margin or a currency cushion to protect themselves against future fluctuations. This is the whip effect. A small component cost increase is magnified into a disproportionate rise in the final consumer price.
That explains why when the dollar spikes, local prices jump instantly, but when the dollar falls, local prices are slow to follow. The cushion is still there.
Exactly. And here's a mind blower. Even the monthly streaming service you pay for in your local currency might be dollarized.
Wait, Even a digital service?
Absolutely. Many SaaS platforms bill their local subsidiaries in USD. If your currency weakens, they have to increase your local subscription fee to maintain their global profit margin. That's pure technological inflation hitting your wallet digitally.
It's clear that a strong dollar is expensive for consumers, but we need to talk about the unseen masters controlling its strength, geopolitics and the U.S. Federal Reserve. The Fed, how does a central bank decision in Washington affect a buyer in Jakarta?
This is where the macroeconomics become deeply personal. The Fed's primary tool is the benchmark interest rate. Think of the U.S. as a powerful magnet for capital. When the Fed raises its interest rate, that magnet strengthens.
It becomes a more attractive place to park money.
Precisely. Investors pull their money out of riskier emerging markets, they sell local currencies to buy dollars, and place that money into safer dollar-denominated assets like U.S. Treasury bonds. This is called a flight to safety.
And the immediate psychological impact in the local market.
That flight of capital automatically weakens the local currencies of those emerging markets. This creates a vicious cycle. Less dollars are available locally, coupled with higher global demand for dollars, which equals a stronger dollar, and thus more expensive electronics in your local currency. The fear and uncertainty surrounding these rate hikes directly feed the dollar's strength, translating our collective anxiety into real-world price hikes on our devices.
So even the sentiment of the market, the fear, the uncertainty, is immediately reflected in the price of the new laptop I want to buy. That's a huge emotional link.
It is, and it makes people feel powerless. We need to flip that feeling.
Let's give our listeners the power back. As a financial coach, what are the 2 or 3 most actionable strategies to defend our purchasing power against the Techno-Dollar?
The first is timing the market strategically. Buying tech should never be impulsive in a volatile economy. It needs to be strategic.
How do we time it?
Retailers don't update prices instantly. The price you see today reflects old inventory, purchased when the dollar was cheaper, plus that safety cushion we talked about. If the dollar has a sudden sustained surge, a currency run, the best time to buy is before the local distributor purchases the new expensive inventory and updates the shelf price. You need to be proactive, not reactive.
So if the dollar has spiked sharply, you have a short window of opportunity before the new high price is locked in.
Exactly. Conversely, look for liquidation sales. This is the only time prices will drop despite a strong dollar because the retailer needs to clear old stock purchased at the old, cheaper exchange rate. End of year or seasonal sales are your friend.
What's the second strategy for those saving up for a big purchase?
Strategic savings diversification. If you're saving for a $1,000 USD camera over a year and your local currency devalues by 15%, your purchasing power is eroded by 15%. Your savings goal is a moving target.
So don't save in the weakening currency.
Don't save only in the weakening currency. Consider saving in a stable or dollar-indexed currency. The traditional method is physical dollars, but increasingly people are using things like stablecoins, digital currencies like USDC or DAI that are pegged one-to-one to the US dollar.
That's modernizing the saving strategy. You're saving in the language of the technology market.
It works. I had a student in Argentina who needed a laptop for his thesis. Instead of saving in pesos, which were constantly devaluing, he began buying a small amount of a stablecoin weekly. When the dollar spiked right before his planned purchase, his savings had held their value in dollar terms, and he bought the laptop without his goal being eroded.
That is powerful. Actionable takeaway. Calculate the total cost in dollars first, then divide your savings basket between your local currency and a stable dollar-indexed asset. We've traveled from the Fed's boardrooms to the component factories in Asia. To wrap up, host name, what are the 1 or 2 essential lessons our listeners must take away today?
I think it comes down to 3 things. First, the dollar is the universal denominator for everything inside that box. Second, A Fed interest rate hike is like a global magnet, strengthening the dollar and weakening your local purchasing power. And third, anticipation is key. Monitoring exchange rates and monetary policy isn't just for economists, it's how you protect your wallet.
That's a fantastic summary. The empowered consumer is the prepared consumer. Thank you so much, Hostname, for demystifying the invisible tax on our tech.
My pleasure, hostname. Knowledge is truly your greatest reserve asset.
Absolutely. And to all our listeners, thank you for tuning in to Global Insights. We'll catch you next time.